What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Celio's Network. I am continuing my Sword and Shield TCG coverage today with a deck built around ZACIAN V and Arceus Dialga Palkia tag team. I knew I wanted to do a ZACIAN V deck for today's video, so I took to Twitter to see if I could find any lists from Japan, and sure enough I found a pretty good list that influenced the list that I built for today's video. Before we get into that, shout out to my sponsors, PotownStore.com. Use code Celio for 5% off there on PTCGO codes that are instantly emailed to you after purchase. And also FlipsideGaming.com. You can use code Celio, all caps, for 10% off of any order $10 or more. So let's take a look at the list from Japan that I based mine off of. The Twitter user that I got this from, the @ is up in the top left corner of the screen because I don't want to butcher the pronunciation of that. But I saw this list and it looked pretty much like what I wanted to build. They've got ADP, they've got ZACIAN, they've got Zamazenta, and then the Jirachi engine. The one thing that they did not have in this deck, and that I do not currently have in the lists I'm going to show you today, is an engine that accelerates to a turn 1 attack from ADP, a turn 1 Altered Creation GX. I think I want to experiment with a turbo build that's trying to do that in the future, but I think that a more conservative way to go is going to be the best, like we've seen in the North American regionals previous to Sword and Shield, with Cosmic Eclipse being the newest set. The more conservative builds that don't really have a way out to turn 1 Altered Creation have been doing so much better than the ones with the riskier or more one-dimensional builds that go for the turn 1 Altered Creation. So I think we're just going to be going with that, and that's what I'll be showing you today. So this is the list I'm starting out with for ADP legendaries, or ADPZ, whatever you want to call it. I also have another list at the end of the video with a couple different changes, just to give you like kind of a couple extra ideas off of this one list. So this is the list that I'll probably be starting out my testing for Sword and Shield with when I do start recording videos of IRL games between Sword and Shield decks. So like I said, I decided not to go with the turn 1 engine for Altered Creation, so no energy switches. But even if I'm not going necessarily for the turn 1 engine, I do think energy switches might just be a good card in the deck anyway, so maybe I'll get to experiment with that sooner than later. So let's look at the new cards from Japan. We'll look at the translations and then go a little bit more into the deck. So ZACIAN V, it has the ability Intrepid Sword. Once during your turn, you may look at the top 3 cards of your deck and attach any number of metal energy from there to this Pokemon. Put the other cards into your hand. If you use this ability, your turn ends. So at the very least, you're drawing 3 cards. And in the best case scenario, arguably, you're accelerating 1 or 2 metal energy and also drawing 1 or 2 cards. Now, since supporters will likely not be allowed on turn 1 per the Japan rules when Sword and Shield comes out, this is actually really good in a world where you can't play turn 1 supporters. So you get to accelerate an energy, hopefully, and you get to draw cards to end your turn. If you're not attacking already, this is great because you're not going to do anything with your turn. So ending the turn doesn't really matter. And then it has a really great attack. Brave Blade 230. This Pokemon can attack during your next turn. So for 3 metal energy, it does 230. If you have Altered Creation GX active, if you've used that already, then it's doing 260. And I've also added in the new damage modifier tool, so we can go up to 270 with this attack. So the card is actually pretty simple. Its ability ends your turn, but you can either draw, accelerate energy, or do both with it. And it's kind of beefy at 220 HP. Then we have Zamazenta. We're only running 1 of this. It's a little more situational, but a little more HP at 230. And its ability, Dauntless Shield, prevents all damage from attacks done to this Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon VMAX. So if your opponent's main strategy is like Snorlax VMAX or Lapras VMAX, this can be really, really good, and it's just a wall that doesn't allow attacks from them to damage Zamazenta. Also situational is its attack, Assault Tackle 130. Discard a special energy attached to the defending Pokemon. Let's say we're going up against a Mew box. While swinging 130 and getting rid of one of their energy if they're going in with a special energy build, perhaps with the new Aurora energy. That could be really good. I think Aurora energy will get a lot of play, even if it's not right away. It'll see more play as time goes on. So 130 or 160 with the ADP buff, so that could double custom catcher up a Dedenne and knock it out for 3 prizes potentially. But this is, we only have one of this because it's not as good all around as ZACIAN is. And then some more new V Pokemon that I have in here. Since ZACIAN and Zamazenta are both weak to fire, I figured a water Pokemon will be good, and maybe we should start experimenting with Lapras V. Water also works because we need water energy with the ADP, and ADP can accelerate energy from the deck onto your Pokemon, so you can get some energy onto Lapras, since Lapras VMAX likes to have a little extra energy, and it likes to have only water energy on it. So Lapras V, 210 HP, water Pokemon, and its first attack Wave Back is actually worth mentioning. Colorless, and attach a water energy from your hand to this Pokemon, then switch this Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. So if you go second, you have an energy and a water energy in your hand. You can potentially just go for like an aggro turn 2 G-Max pump off of the VMAX. If you have a water energy to accelerate, then switch back in, attach again. And then its next attack is Ocean Loop. I don't think we'll really be using this attack since it's at a high cost of 4 energy. But Ocean Loop 210, return 2 water energy attached to this Pokemon to your hand. And then Lapras VMAX is what we really want to attack with here. It's a 1-1 line, and we're really just looking to attack with Lapras VMAX primarily. So 320 HP. 3 colorless energy, G-Max pump does 90, and then it does 30 more damage times the amount of water energy attached to this Pokemon. So you'll be able to pretty easily one-shot fire Pokemon with Lapras VMAX, and then maybe like Malolana to heal, one-shot another, and it has 320 HP, and we're playing Choice Helmet, so the Pokemon should be able to tank a good bit of damage and also put out a good bit of damage. So the other Pokemon in the deck, we have Arceus Dialga, which, if you do not know what it does, Alter Creation GX is the main reason it's here. For a Metal Energy, for the rest of your game, for the rest of this game, your Pokemon's attacks do 30 more damage to your opponent's active. So, and then if you have an extra water, so a Metal and a Water, when your opponent's Pokemon is knocked out by damage from those attacks, take 1 more prize card. So you want to set up your game with the Alter Creation GX, and then Ultimate Ray does 150. Insert your deck for up to 3 basic energy cards and attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like. So you want to use Ultimate Ray as well to get some more energy onto the board. And then we have Jirachi for support, Stellar Wish. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck, get a trainer, then Jirachi's asleep. And also Oranguru, which goes really well with ZACIAN V's. Look at the top 3 cards ability. So Oranguru allows you to, once during your turn, you may swap 1 card from your hand with the top card from your deck. So it's also almost like digging 1 card deeper if you need 1 extra card, but it's also, if you have an extra metal energy in your hand, you can put it onto the top of your deck and then use ZACIAN V's ability to accelerate it onto itself. So those are all of the Pokemon. Looking at the new trainers, we've got Quick Ball. You can only use this card if you discard another card from your hand, and then search your deck for a basic Pokemon. You're going to be seeing a lot of Quick Ball. It's really good. It gets out your basic Pokemon, and all you have to do is discard a card from your hand. Metal Saucer is a no-brainer in any metal deck. Attach a metal energy from your discard pile to one of your benched Pokemon. So if your ZACIAN or Zamazenta gets knocked out, you can pretty easily start getting another one going. So this deck has a couple ways of energy acceleration between ADP's Ultimate Ray, ZACIAN V's ability, and also Metal Saucer. And then we have Marnie, a new supporter, which I really like, and I talked about this a bit in my last video on Obstagoon Sableye V. So what Marnie does is both players put their hand face down, shuffle it, and put it at the bottom of their deck. Then you draw 5 cards and your opponent draws 4. So the cards in both players' hands go to the bottom of their deck, and then they draw new cards. So this can be good to disrupt your opponent. It could be good if you're digging for something and you don't want to see the cards that are in your hand again. And also it kind of evens out, whereas Judge didn't. So Judge made you get 4 cards and your opponent get 4 cards, but then they get their top deck for turn, so they really get 5. Here it's kind of evening that out. You get 5 and your opponent gets 4. And then I have Vital Band. The attacks of this Pokemon this card is attached to do I'm sorry. The attacks of the Pokemon this card is attached to do 10 more damage against your opponent's active Pokemon. There we go. So I'm just going to try this out in testing and see if the extra 10 damage becomes relevant. Just off the top of my head, ZACIAN V does 230 ADP's Alter Creation makes your attacks do 30 more, so that's 260, and then with a Vital Band that's 270, and that would OHKO a Mewtwo and Mew tag team. So just one relevant number that Vital Band helps with there. And then the new special energy from Sword and Shield, Aurora Energy. In order to attach this card to one of your Pokemon, you have to discard a card from your hand, and then while it's in play, it provides every type of energy, but provides only one energy at a time. So it's kind of like Rainbow Energy, but instead of a damage counter, you have to discard a card from your hand to attach it. I really like this card. It's going to see a ton of play in both Standard and Expanded. So just looking at the deck again, now that you know what all the cards do, we can kind of figure out why they're there. I could play Metal Frying Pan in here, but I played Choice Helmet instead, since it also is usable on the non-metal Pokemon in the deck. And then we have the Lapras VMAX line as our kind of counter to fire decks or just fire attackers that might pop up. The supporters, I'm going kind of thin on supporters and more towards utility supporters, since like I said, we should be getting the no turn 1 supporters rule implemented when Sword and Shield comes out. So we've just got the 2 Cynthia and 2 Marnie for raw drawing supporters, and then the Cynthia and Caitlyn, which can draw us cards and get back a supporter, the Mallow and Lana, which is great because it heals and switches. And then Guzma and Hala, they can get a special energy, a stadium, and a tool, so we can get Viridian Forest, a special energy, and one of our many tools. We've got a skateboard, counter gain, a Vital Band, and Choice Helmet. And even if there aren't any special energy left with our stadium that we get Viridian Forest, we can just search on a basic energy with that. So really, Guzma and Hala can be an out to either a basic energy, a special energy, or both if you have Viridian Forest in the deck and you can play it down and use it. And then I have one other list with just a couple changes. So throwing in a Metal Frying Pan and taking out the Lapras VMAX line, throwing in a different water Pokemon in Keldeo GX, since we do have water energy in the deck and I want to try to utilize that with a water attacker. And then also the Zigzagoon, that when you play it down, you put 10 more 1 damage counter on one of the opponent's Pokemon. So since I took out Vital Band for the Metal Frying Pan, which was our 1 extra damage counter, we're going to try the Zigzagoon in this list. So I'll try these changes as well. Maybe I'll make some other changes before I print out proxies and get to playing with these cards. But I wanted to show you between these 2 decks the couple changes that I might make, either the Lapras line or the Keldeo and the Zigzagoon, and then between the Metal Frying Pan, the Choice Helmet, the Vital Band. So a couple different changes I wanted to show you guys and talk about, so I'm not just throwing out like a one-dimensional idea here. I'm definitely open to changes. This is a preliminary deck list, and I'm sure tons of stuff will change with it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video on the new ADP Z deck. Try it out for yourself when you are starting to get ready to test Sword and Shield. I know I'm a bit early, but I want to get this content out there since I'm going to be starting to record gameplay videos myself very soon. Like, subscribe, and comment if you did enjoy it and you want to see more content. And I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.